ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್, ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ. ನಾವು ಕೆಲವು ದಿನಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ, a few days ago, we recorded a video with this lady from Goa whose video had gone viral, and she had spoken directly to the Prime Minister, asking some questions about his speeches, which have become a major point of contention between various sections of the society, and of course the opposition has written to the ECI, the civil societies have written to the ECI about his speeches. But what has happened, unfortunately, is that he has not stopped his speeches. In fact, he's taken it up by many notches. And what we also noticed is that the Bajra is now has company, and even the Bhains, the buffalo, will not be spared. The buffalo will be taken and given away, and that even the cricket team will be judged on the basis of religion, etc., etc. Things that everyone concurs did not happen in 70 years when the current opposition was the ruling party. So there is no basis, however, either in the INC manifesto or anywhere for any such wealth distribution, either Bajra or the buffalo. But here we are today because many journalists are wondering what is going on, and like last time, Dev Surabhi eventually this year pointed out that very clearly one is, it is anti-constitutional for anyone, including the highest authority, to be making these allegations, baseless allegations. And also importantly, why is it that the Prime Minister, instead of talking about his achievements over 10 years and seeking votes, why is he attacking the opposition manifesto? And why is it that every speech of his seems to be revolving only around the INC manifesto? And in the process, he's also cooking up things that are not even there in the manifesto. And these are things that Dev Surabhi eventually pointed out in that last meeting. Now, Sujit Nair has made a review where he talks about 10 different points based on which he feels that BJP is cornered, and therefore that's probably one reason why this kind of panic has set in, and why he's making these very wild and baseless allegations against the opposition, and in the process also dog whistling at a particular community, minorities in general and the Muslims particularly. And this is very unfortunate. Media, as usual, is not interested. ECI doesn't seem interested, though they have sent a notice to Nataji, as pointed out last time. And courts have said we can't micromanage ECI's day-to-day affairs, which is factually correct. And if ECI is an autonomous body, and their job, as in the MCC, starts by saying that you cannot use any particular reason or any community targeted, either on the basis of region, religion, or linguistic basis. Yet, here we are noticing that unfortunately none other than the Prime Minister himself is going on with this. So let's begin one by one. One is with the why is this happening, this continuous thing, and let's understand from Dev Surabhi what does she think, and why is this non-stop attack on minority, and then the INC manifesto.
Well, first of all, thank you. This constant onslaught of attacks on the minorities, and then also on the INC manifesto, very clearly underlines the fact that this ruling government, despite them having been in power for 10 years, they don't have any points to talk about or anything worthwhile as an achievement to talk about. Hence, they only have this on their agenda, that they want to divide the people, and they also want to attack the opposition. As also can be seen as a phenomenon under this regime, that the Godi media also has very clearly made the opposition its enemy and keeps attacking the opposition at the behest of the Prime Minister. So the entire machinery that the BJP is using against the opposition, day by day, it's speaking volumes about how desperate this regime has become. And the more shrill his speeches have become every day. We can see the growing desperation. First it was Bajra, then it was Bhains, and now it is the cricket team. He seems to be trying to find any point which is emotionally evocative and trying to make it stick among the people that this is what is going to be used against you. Whereas if you look at the Congress manifesto, I hope a lot of the viewers would have downloaded it by now, thanks to Modi
Thanks to
ji.
Modi ji.
So, if you go through the entire manifesto, it's just speaking about justice. It's about delivering justice to the people, which is based on our very constitution that anybody who is downtrodden, who has not gotten access to resources, who needs support from the state, because of course we are a socialist country, which these people seem to forget. So the entire manifesto is talking about delivering justice to different stakeholders in our country who have not received the resources over time. So all this is extremely baseless, and as I said before, that they don't have any other topic to really talk about. His Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, that line went out into the cold storage. Then Vishwa Guru went into cold storage. Then so many of his slogans have gone into cold storage because nothing is sticking. Like, we can see the horrible repercussions of their destructive policies. And various reports have come out that most of the budgets are spent on advertisements. The actual outlay of funds or the disbursement of funds for, say, farmers or anybody else, that is actually just it's in cold storage. It's only on paper that it is being spent, but it's actually not reaching the people at all. So this is my view on what's happening right now.
Somehow even the foreign media has taken note of this, and they are looking at the divisive politics coming from the highest constitutional authority, which is a very serious thing, and then looking at whether India, whose record apparently in terms of human rights and various things is already on the lowest, whether it's the press freedom index or any of the indexes, we are on the lowest ever. And coming back to the points raised by Sudip Nair, one is that, of course, it starts with inflation. The inflation seems to have taken precedence over everything else, rightly so, because the price rise is unheard of, unprecedented, and people are finding it very difficult. The family savings have been wiped out today, and people are working much more than they used to work, and yet they are finding it difficult to manage, and the family debt has increased, and of course the country's debt is also going through the roof, and unprecedented borrowing by the Indian government, making every Indian practically, born or otherwise, in serious debt. And then comes the second one, I think, if I remember correctly, unemployment. So he has pointed out, and that, of course, dictatorship is another factor, which is also playing big time. Arresting sitting chief ministers, and from the chief ministers to the civil society activists, to the opposition, to students, and of course the farmers. We've seen the horrendous crimes committed against farmers. So merely asking what the Prime Minister himself had promised last year, right? They were not asking for anything out of the world. The farmers from Tamil Nadu or North India have been completely ignored and insulted and looked on. And then women's safety, which is another huge issue, which of course we've seen untold crimes being committed by the functionaries of BJP, their allies, party men. It's very sad that something like this happens. On the other side, when Manipur is burning and that Manipur, the women are brutalized, the Prime Minister does not even care to speak, let alone visit the place. And he's on a safari in Assam, which is right there. He doesn't care to go to Manipur. He's on a safari, sitting on an elephant and changing his costumes day in and day out. So somewhere down all of this, and plus another important aspect that he is raised is that the temple, which was just strategically opened, an unfinished temple, which the many Hindu followers think that should have never been done, apparently, also has not gone on. Right? So these are the things. Now, the surprise one, which of course he has not spoken, is that apparently in UP, one of the issues today is the effects of the vaccine, which was again another story in itself. In Karnataka, people like Dr. Srinivas Katila have been flagging the problems of the vaccine, and the way it was released, its pricing, which was another huge thing because a differential pricing was created. When the company itself had admitted to an X price, it was increased by multiple times and people are made to pay, and then after certain interventions, it was told that okay, everyone will get it free, and then it was called Modi vaccine, and that Modi was giving the, which is again unprecedented. No Prime Minister, I'm sure, anywhere would claim when the government does what it is supposed to do as his giving. At least they had said the BJP government would have been okay. But now with the company accepting that there are very serious side effects. And now, of course, so there is no talk of vaccines, right? That has gone on.
Not only just no talk of the vaccine, the photo of the Prime Minister from the vaccine certificate has disappeared overnight. So that is the level of, this entire thing, whether it is the vaccine issue, whether it is any other issue, this government has run on the modus operandi of taking credit for everything, Modi taking credit for everything, but not taking responsibility for any of the actions of theirs which have gone wrong. So in the case of vaccines also, when they came out and they were, like certificate pe Modi ji ka photo, they were calling it Modi vaccine, and even after the the expose on this vaccine recently, Amit Shah just like 2-3 days ago in Uttar Pradesh, he was trying to allay the fears of the people by saying ये तो मोदी का टीका है, इससे कुछ बिगड़ने नहीं वाला है. I mean, the extent of trying to escape from the responsibility of bad actions that you've taken. At that point of time, it was the bound duty of the government to inform the people of the adverse effects of the vaccine, which they didn't do. Supposedly, the side effects were there in the packaging of the vaccine, but the government is always responsible for making sure their citizens are first. The problem with this regime is that citizens don't come first for them. It's their friends, whether it is Serum Institute, whether it is Adani, whether it is Ambani, whoever is their favorite or close to their heart, or maybe, because they're filling their cash coffers with their tempos. Modi and his party, his regime seems to always put his special friends first. And this is like extremely despicable, that you are sitting on the post of the Prime Minister. You have been elected by the people of India, right? Adani and Ambani didn't elect you and put you there. Neither did the Serum Institute elect you and put you there. It's the people, right? So your responsibility is firstly towards the people who put you in that position. But this doesn't seem to register in their mind, or maybe they don't want to acknowledge this fact, that their answerability is firstly to the people. And that is why we see, and it really pains my heart today, that people my age, I'm 32 years old, people my age, younger than me, healthy people who were exercising, who were physically active, healthy lifestyles and everything, suddenly getting strokes and dying. I've also heard from my own friends who've had children post-COVID after taking the vaccine. There are severe deformities in children who are being born after COVID vaccination drives have been done, especially to parents who have taken the COVID vaccine. Children being born with holes in their hearts, underdeveloped lungs, issues with brain development, things like that. So, I mean, who is going to take responsibility for all of this? Correct? You made the decision to bring in this vaccine. You gave it to a friend of yours. It was literally thopofied on the people that you have to do this, you have to take it, and
Collect electoral bonds from them.
collecting electoral bonds in the process from them, and then you forgot about the people. Just as they forgot about the people when they were going through the oxygen crisis, when they didn't have hospital beds, a complete abdication of responsibility. That's what we see repeatedly with this regime.
Yeah, sadly, those who pointed out, like I mentioned, Dr. Srinivas Katale or opposition leaders like Rahul Gandhi were attacked, for raising concerns, and government had abdicated its responsibility. Government was not forthcoming, was not even willing to look at if there is anything wrong and listening to experts. They were not doing it. The opposition had to do it, and they were attacking these people and calling them the usual names. That brings me to the next point. One of the things that Modi ji and his party must be credited is uniting opposition on one side and also uniting the civil society. Today you are a civil society activist, and you know this more than anyone that civil society itself is made up of different people, different beliefs and ideologies in a country like us, and that's very normal. But they've all united today with one common agenda of protecting the constitution and very clearly bringing down this regime. And that is unprecedented. And this has never happened before, except during freedom struggle. So this is the extent of people's will to bring the regime down. And clearly we are seeing a change. There is a groundswell against the regime, and all the talk is disappearing. I have not heard 400 par in the last rallies. Let's forget Achhe Din, Sabka Vikas or whatever, and Beti Padhao, nowhere. So because immediately people think of Prajwal Revanna or Brijbhushan. Right? So these are things that are now heading at them on one side, and also the spectacular failure of the Mandir politics, and that doesn't seem to have caught on with the people at all, because people are really employed in a lot of issues today, and they're seeing the regime's inefficiency on one side, inability to address any of these. So there is also an article by Dr. Parakula on the importance of civil society even post the June 4th, when the counting will be over, and he suspects that there will be weeks of uncertainty, and where the civil society needs to continue to play this role, and he's appreciated the role of civil society, and he too points out that civil society must continue to play this role, and knowing fully well the kind of things that we have witnessed in the last 10 years. And we have witnessed unprecedented horse trading, and people openly destroying governments, bringing down governments, and proudly going to the press and saying this, like in the case of Maharashtra. And so nothing is that can't be expected. So what do you see the role of civil society going forward?
Very clearly, and I actually, the only thing that I thank this regime for is for uniting all of us Indians, who are majority actually. Because if you look at their vote share as per the 2019, it's 36.37%. So it's 60+% of Indians that they have managed to unite through their destructive policies. So civil society especially, and I am so happy to see our Goa elections have just gone by on the 7th. I know for a fact that although there was the India Alliance, there's Congress Party, I also have connections to the Congress Party, but it was the civil society that was literally going home to home. They have no connection with any party. They are spending money from their own pockets. They are going, putting fuel in their own cars or their own bikes, and they're going door to door campaigning for the candidate that clearly showcases that they have the capability of fighting the BJP. That was the India Alliance, the Congress candidates in Goa. And everywhere else, I have gotten reports from people where, it's entirely unprecedented. And we used to think that, to fight elections, you need so much money and this and that and the other. But this time we are seeing a completely different phenomenon. People are crowdfunding. People are raising money, spending their own money, bringing together money between people and actually going around and campaigning against the BJP. And this is what Dr. Parkala Prabhakar had rightly pointed out even 3-4 months ago, before the voting began, before the MCC also came into effect. He had very rightly predicted that the civil society, this time the election is not between the BJP and the opposition, but it is BJP and Modi versus the people of India. And I'm very happy to see that. And this, I hope, and I will also appeal to the people who are, part of civil society movements, that do not become complacent the moment 4th June comes, because our real work is actually going to begin after that. Because looking at the signs and how dictatorial this regime has been in its very functioning in the past 10 years, you can be rest assured that this government, once they lose power, they're not going to go peacefully. It's not going to be a peaceful transfer of power, as we have seen before 2014. The UPA 2 transferred power to Modi very easily, and it has always been a democratic process that once the mandate comes from the people, there's always a peaceful transfer of power. But this time around, it looks like that it's not going to be peaceful at all. So it is our duty as Indian citizens to ensure that peace and harmony is maintained in our country, that we stay united. Ahimsa ke raste. We have to adopt that approach and ensure that there is a peaceful transfer of power to the next regime, whoever it may be.
It is indeed heartening to see in Goa, I am told the Adivasi associations, 12 of them have come together and on their own done whatever they can, and in many places perhaps even increase the voting percentage by making sure that they travel all the way. Many of them working outside the state have come back to and these are really, really heartening things. And in many states we have seen good cooperation, a decent cooperation between civil society and the opposition parties. In many states, unfortunately, not seen that, but I hope going forward there is a mechanism created, a standing mechanism to understand, because civil society can actually bring the voices of the people to the table, and sometimes if the parties have missed it, it is good to hear this out. In fact, Bharat Jodo Yatra itself is perhaps one of the biggest listening posts ever created, as one of the most populous countries. When someone walks across the country, length and breadth, and listens to people, and so it is obvious that the manifesto that one sees, the Indian National Congress manifesto, reflects the aspirations of the people and the demands of the people. So in the absence of that is why we need the devious politics which is happening on the other side, because you do not have anything to speak about. You do not have the luxury of talking about your achievements. You do not have the luxury of presenting a vision. And all the slogans that you gave us have been trashed, and you do not want to even mention about it. You do not want to talk about the terrible implementation of the GST regime, or your failure during COVID, or any of the things that are happening. So today it's become an embarrassment, and therefore you are trying to dog whistle in the community, and therefore you are trying to cover up by bringing in non-existent things like a Bhains and Bajra and God knows what else. So lastly, tell us about how does one connect these dots in terms of what has been happening, one civil society coming together, the opposition coming together, and rightly so, because though I think seat sharing and alliance should never be mixed up. Let us separate things. Even where there is no seat sharing, doesn't mean parties are the two different opposition parties are working against each other, and that's not the case. And that's what Nayak has pointed out. I agree with you. So that's never the case. people are still working, and for some reason they do not want to get into a seat share arrangement, which is fine. So June 4th, post June 4th, and that alliance becomes a very relevant point in terms of, it becomes the hope for the people who have come together now, worked so hard, right? So can we look at one is, of course, you have the Nyaya Patra, you have different parties within opposition, different manifestos, bringing in a progressive agenda as a rallying point for the India, which is already there, obviously. And once you put that together on the table, one, it becomes easier for the electorate to understand what is the agenda of India Alliance. One, unlike on the other side, it's not about Bajra and yes, but about real issues, and how does one address it, and how does one address the concerns of the ones who have not got their share. It's all about justice is just that. And so how do you think that should happen? I mean, can that happen without the civil society? Should it be left to the political parties within the India Alliance? How do you think this should happen?
Well, first of all, I would like to point out with a little bit of background that Bharatiya Janata Party was always known as a cadre-based party before 2014, before the takeover of the personality cult of Modi. And within the last 10 years, what Modi has managed to do is completely destroy the cadres of Bharatiya Janata Party. Today, the situation is that it's become extremely fragmented, extremely problematic within the Bharatiya Janata Party, and any moment now we are already seeing the signs of implosion in Goa, and we are going to see it across the country. The point I'm trying to make is that when a cadre-based party like Bharatiya Janata Party has been destroyed, one of the biggest repercussions of that is that they are no longer connected to the voice of the people, and the second thing, that they don't even want to listen to the voice of the people. The problem with Bharatiya Janata Party is and has been historically because of their ideology also, is that it's always a one-way communication with them. It's about them, their ideology, and furthering that agenda, rather than actually listening to the aspirations of the people and having a two-way communication, whether it is with people, with civic society, whoever it may be. They don't believe in listening. Contrast to that, look at the opposition. When Bharat Jodo Yatra happened, the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra happened, the other parties who were part of the alliance. All we've been doing is listening to the people. Yeah, and very, very beautifully, with a lot of happiness and zeal in our hearts, we've gone to the people, we've heard them, and the manifesto of the Congress itself is a beautiful expression of the aspirations of the people. So fundamentally, that is what is scaring Modi and this regime, is that in the process of destroying their own party through a personality cult, they even lost the avenue of listening to the people. Whereas the opposition has spent all its time, resources and everything to listen to the people and consult civil society in the process. And I hope this culture, the new, this new dynamic in politics continues for times to come, because this is the very basis of our democracy, that every voice is heard, whether it is the smallest voice or the biggest voice. Especially the smallest voice has to be heard, because they don't have the avenue of getting heard very easily. So civic society going forward is surely going to play a very big role in how politics is carried out. This time it has become very clear that civic society going forward is going to be a very essential part of political planning, manifesto planning, whatever has to be in the agenda of any political party. Civic society cannot be ignored anymore. That's and again I thank Modi and the BJP for this, because of them the other parties have woken up. Of course, Congress party has been an Andolankari party always, so it's always been about people and discussions and things like that. But the whole process has become so streamlined thanks to Narendra Modi and Bharatiya Janata Party. So I do believe that the manifesto of the Congress party and the alliance partners. It's a beautiful expression of the people's voice, and again I will reiterate that is what is giving sleepless nights to Narendra Modi and Bharatiya Janata Party, because the manifesto is actually resonating with the people. It has become a voice of the people. People are seeing that this is my aspiration, this is what I want for myself, and I'm seeing this in a party's manifesto. So that is what is really scaring them so badly. That because in contrast, if you look at the Bharatiya Janata Party manifesto, it looks like a very simplistic photo story of Modi ji. It looks more like a portfolio shoot of his, with every page having a very elaborate and a very well groomed photo of his. Whereas the points of the manifesto are actually taking a back seat. They are nowhere reflecting the will of the people. So see, that's the contrast that's scaring them. That here on one side you have the narcissistic personality cult of a document and here is the expression of the aspirations of the people. So that's the point that I wanted to
Thank you, Devsurabhi, you and Shriji, for joining us once again, and we hope to see the civil society and activists like you taking the center stage going forward, and also wishing the India Alliance the very best, and we hope that they do better than expected and actually stop the destruction from happening. Thank you so much. Very best.